Broadcasting live, this is KMA Talk Radio. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of fine cigars.
I like to smoke them like the Winston Churchill, like John Kennedy, yeah. Remember Coach Red Auerbach, smoked up for victory, yeah. Well, you can take my wife, you can take my car, you can't take my big cigar. My cigar.
Cigars.
Are we on? I hope we're on. I can't tell.
Yeah, you're on. I'm sorry.
Good morning to all our loyal fans, libertarians, and lovers of the leaf. I'm your host today of the KMA Talk Radio, Honest Abe, with my cohorts, our trusty Italian scallion, the producer, Paul. Well, actually, not the producer. I got to get used to that. No.
Former producer,
Paul, the Italian scallion, and our Southpaw from South Philly, Alex Tavella. What's going on?
Mamma mia.
Oh, yeah,
What's
right?
up, fellas?
That
What's up,
sound
everybody?
bites in my head forever.
I saw Randy Bush pop on, so I had to let one out for him.
Seriously. We got an epic show for you today. Legendary person, legendary family in our industry, Carlito, Fuente, and he'll be coming on later on. And I believe his daughter, Liana, at some point will be coming on. So it should be a pretty cool show. A lot of history, a lot of fun, a lot of hopefully great stories to be shared today. Other than that, Paul, how's it like? I'm just curious, how's it like being back home after all that time away?
you know, it's weird because we were in these big giant houses up there, and then we come back to our little Florida house. We started house shopping this week already.
I know you've been crying to me all week.
Paul,
I need your opinion. We were up there for just over 3 months.
It's a nice stretch.
It was a long time, but we were ready to come home for sure.
So I'm lighting an Opus X that I believe was from my opening order when I first became got opened up to sell Opus X, which I'm going to venture to say is 2001 maybe.
So how does it work,
That's
Abe?
impressive.
You have to get approved to sell Opus?
I'm not sure what the process is today because I've been an appointed Opus X merchant forever. But back in the day, Wayne Suarez, who was Cynthia's ex-husband, he was kind of like in charge of the Opus X account. So if you even were thinking about getting Opus X, he would literally go to that location personally to look at your store, to see how you operated before they even contemplating opening you up for Opus X.
What do you got there?
Screenshot. But this is literally whatever Opus X I have in this humidor. 90% of them are ones that I had grabbed on my opening order because I was still like a major cigar geek, so I had to make sure I had my allotment of them personally. But I never.
Don't you have a cigar that Carlito made you for one of your kids or something? You were telling me about a really cool cigar or box or something.
He did make for my first daughter actually, and we still have it. It's just a box of Opus that was celloed with my daughter's name on it. So we're gonna crack that open on her 18th birthday. But you see if it's somewhere close by because he did do. Here it is. I got these two after I got married, and if you know my wife, you'll appreciate the artisan and the cigars. But he sent me these two cigars when I got married, which I still haven't smoked, and I was told he called them the Abe and the Brandy.
Oh, that's cool. You've showed me that before.
Yeah,
I've never seen that actually.
yeah, they're like box pressed BBMFs with different tips, and if you know who my wife is or my wife, you'll understand the Abe and
Absolutely,
Brandy
it's
part.
hysterical.
So, yeah, stuff like that. It's hard to ever smoke, man. It's just kind of like collectible stuff you put in there, and you just kind of hold on to it like keepsakes.
Yeah, Yeah.
You know? So how the kids been adjusting coming back home? They realized they were somewhere else for a while, or
Yeah.
just
My son, the 2-year-old, Axel keeps asking to go to my mom's house or to Gee's house. That's her mom. That's what he calls her mom. So he doesn't. I don't think he quite realizes that like we're not as close to them anymore. I'll be honest. You're gonna make fun of me, but the person that had the heart, or the family member that had the hardest time adjusting from us getting back was Nala the dog. I don't think she's in here. She was like a mental case since we've been back. Like freaking out, anxiety all over the place, scared of pieces of paper. Like I don't know. She just like.
Isn't this the dog that's already like kind of a mental case? Like, didn't you say like she's got like major anxiety issues at one time? I remember.
Yeah, she's on Prozac, doggy Prozac. So
Is she really?
So I just want to be clear. You're not kidding. You give your dog Prozac.
It's called Reconcile, but it is a smaller dose of the same Prozac that they would give to people.
And this is because your dog does what?
Yeah, she's got anxiety. They give it to dogs for separation anxiety. She doesn't have that.
Just
she's
walk
just
your
like,
dog. I mean, I feel like if you probably walk the dog,
I
probably would be a little,
we're just that
more chilled out.
What does your dog do that makes you feel like you need to give her Prozac?
If she was in here, I could show you. She's like scared of everything, right? So she's been off her pill for 2 days because we had to have another vet prescribe it up in New York because they wouldn't re-prescribe it down here.
The dog's off her meds.
Yeah, she's off her meds for a couple of days.
And
so she's.
You can't make this shit up.
Listen, the Roomba is running right now, and she's shitting her pants. I'm sure she's here somewhere. She's just like hiding out because she hears it in the other room, and she's terrified of the Roomba. So that's a whole big thing. When that starts running, she gets all anxious. She like hides in a corner, goes in the fetal position, freaking out.
You know, I didn't mean saying that, but you know, they say dogs are often reflective representations of their owners.
Oh Jesus, here we go.
Right.
I'm just saying. That's what I've heard.
You know, we have a really awesome guest in today. Since I've been on the show, he hasn't been here, so I'd like to get off of me.
I want to talk about a couple other things first. Hold on. How about LeBron?
Okay.
How about LeBron this week smoking the cigar after the championship? But I don't know. Is it me or did he look like not a cigar smoker smoking the cigar?
Yeah, he 100%, right?
Right.
So here's the thing, and I did some looking. So it seems like LeBron is a little more of a celebratory smoker.
Right.
He was smoking a cigar during the parade in Miami. I saw a picture of him smoking a Java, like on vacation. So no, he's not like a Michael Jordan kind of cigar smoker, but I guess on occasion.
I mean, you could just tell.
Right. Yeah, no, he's not.
How somebody holds a cigar, how naturally it feels in their hand with
right,
it. Really
how they puff it. Right, absolutely.
So yeah, he didn't appear to be a natural cigar smoker. So I mean, I know Paul, you're not really a sportsy guy or not, but you know, obviously the whole.
I'm not a basketball guy unless I go. Like I used to go to Nets games and Knicks games a lot, and I get into the sport. I just can't watch it on TV for some reason, but I love going to a basketball game live.
But going to any going to any sporting event live is an experience other than watching it on TV. That's the whole.
Yeah, that's my thing. I mean, I'll watch football when the Giants are on down here, although it's been. You know, I may need to take some of the Prozac with the way they've been playing lately.
But, you know, obviously the big argument this week, once again, it never seems to go away. This poor guy's probably going to live the rest of his life. Is LeBron considered a GOAT? What do you think, Alex?
I say
I'm going to have some partialness no matter what. Yeah, I'm going to have.
You are.
Yeah, so my opinion doesn't count.
Here's my argument against LeBron being the GOAT. I'm going to throw a couple names out. Reggie Miller. Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Karl Malone, John Stockton. These are all Hall of Fame players. They're all.
Does he belong in that group?
NBA players. They're all top 50 NBA players. None of these guys have championship rings for the simple fact that they played in the Michael Jordan era. The only reason these guys under LeBron, everybody got a ring. Kevin Durant got a ring. Steph Curry got a ring. Tim Duncan. You know, the guy's 4 for 10 in the finals. You know, 4 championships. He lost 6. It's not. Thanks, Coop. The GOAT argument is stupid.
Yeah,
He's just
Cooper is officially going to be the Debbie Downer of any topic.
He really is.
He really is. You know, but you can't.
Well, he's right.
No, but you can too, because I'm going to tell you why. I forget the statistics, but I'm going to tell you because anybody who's ever played sports, right? There's certain things that just are like automatically, like, you know, if you're a president and you really did commit espionage or whatever, you can't run for president, right? There's no like, yeah, well, you know, it was just this country, you know. When you walk off a court, I don't care if you played sports. If you walk off a court before the game's over and you ain't being taken out in a stretcher, for me, that you automatically disqualified from being considered anything of great status. Because that's just, I think part of being great is your attitude and your leadership on the court as well. And, you know, I questioned that before, but after seeing that walk off this last series,
I just feel like he lobbies too much to be the GOAT. Like, give me my respect. You know,
Well,
if you're the
it's
GOAT,
insecurity.
you don't.
Yeah, I mean,
insecurity.
yeah, I mean, look.
I was looking at a story. I was reading a story last night about Michael Jordan and Reggie Miller playing, and Reggie was talking a lot of shit, and then Michael like shut him down the entire second half. It was like Mike scored like 40 to Reggie's 2. And after the game, Mike went up to Reggie and said, "Don't ever talk shit to Black Jesus." You know, that's GOAT mentality. Not, please give me my respect.
Yeah. I mean, look, honestly, anybody who's been a great, I mean, look, you can't question he's a great athlete, hands down. But I think anybody who's like been a great athlete during and post the Michael Jordan era is going to be living in that shadow.
Right.
You know. So
I agree.
I just got a text from Carlito because we just lost him before the show. Believe it or not, they had a blackout in Santiago. So is he on right now? Because I can't tell.
Yeah, he's on. I see him. He's on. He's ready to go when we're ready.
Good. Now that he's back on, let's do proper introduction. Starting in Tampa in 1912, Arturo Fuente Cigars has become one of the greatest historical families in the cigar business and distributes over 30 million cigars a year. Let's everyone give up a warm welcome to the man himself, Carlito Fuente Jr. There he is. What's up, my friend?
Good morning, everyone. That's great to be here. Thank you very much.
Oh, we're so honored and pleased you can join us. Look at that amazing array of hats you have. How many hats do you own?
I have one less because I just gave one away that you're going to pick the winner. Yes. As a matter of fact, I went to visit my children in Boston, and I'm listening to Paul, and I'm going, oh my God, I guess you decided to come back to Florida when it's going to be a change of weather. But I left the Dominican Republic, which is hot as hell, and arrived in Tampa for meetings. I was there the weekend working, and Tampa was unbearable because Dominican Republic, you got that tropical breeze, and no matter what, it cools you down, just get in the shade. But Tampa was just unbearable. So I arrived in Boston to see my children, who I haven't seen in months. I have my 2 youngest one are living there now in school. And when I got off that plane, that cool breeze just caressing my cheeks, you know, and all of a sudden I take out my Laurel Piano Bufanda and I wrap it around. It just, you know, I felt like it's just so secure. It just reminded me of, fall when I was growing up in Florida and that first breeze hits you, you know, it's football seasons, the girls, you know, the wild turkey, you know, hidden in a little plastic thing so the teachers won't find it, you know, go to a high school game. But, you know, it was just great. And I spent the 3-4 the best days of my life with my children, sitting outside, beautiful weather. But the only downfall that for 4 entire days, I couldn't find a place to smoke a cigar.
Oh,
yeah, it's just horrible.
That's Massachusetts. Yep.
It's as a matter of fact, I just couldn't believe it. You know, you don't realize, the state of prohibition that we're facing now. I literally said, "Fuck it." I sat down on the sidewalk and I lit a cigar by myself. I really sat against the wall, you know, and I didn't have any cans or my hat wasn't open so people drop money or anything like that. But I light my cigar, and within 3 minutes, I have someone coming up. They're going to give you a citation if you don't pull it out. Somebody just called. So I guess so.
Really?
I was like, what, man? You know, I thought to myself twice, maybe this is good to get arrested. You know, this gives me a reason to go, you know, maybe get invited by Tucker or Hannity, you know, to talk about.
I was going to say, it would sure got make headline.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, no. So I'm back in the DR, and It's good to be back. But talking about the hat, I flew back. I went through Miami and I saw Alan, and we had the hat I've been wearing for quite a while. You can see this one's brand new. It's not even shaped yet. I shaped my own hats and everything. Wow. This one still has the original starch and everything. It's hard, and then they soften up once I shape them. But I had my hat, and Alan, I called him up. I said, Alan, I need a favor. You got to get this hat over to Melanie Cisco, like now, and because we have a commitment, and Abe is doing this thing, and he's such a generous man, and we're gonna raise some money. And the hat, I was asked if I would give the hat during one of the shows, so I was very reluctant. I don't give my hat, but yes, it was there. So I just got back. I have a new hat, but it's good to be on the show. It's been I'm just happy to be here. It's been a long time, Abe. I think I was on one of your first shows.
Second show ever.
I do remember that we spoke about the hurricane and how the farm had been destroyed. That's what I do remember, because sometimes you associate a frame of time with pain or celebration. Yeah. And it was a painful time to me. And I remember the questions about the hurricane and the Chateau de Fuente. So if I'm not mistaken, it could have been 1998, maybe 1996. I don't know when you started, but it was quite a few. But we've had so many obstacles and so many confrontations and how do you call it? Tragedies, natural tragedies and so forth, that it could have been a lot of different subjects that we were touching that day. But I do remember, and I appreciated that you consider me as, be one of your first guests on the show.
Oh, we loved it. And that was back before we had video. That's when everything was just simply only audio back then. So, now to actually have you here, almost in person, is kind of great to be doing it on video. And we have a lot to discuss today. And we're going to get Liana on in the second half to talk about the awesome job she did with raising money for the Cancer Foundation. And we're going to talk about that. But I want to start with your beginnings, right? Because, you guys had some real humble beginnings. Your grandfather, Arturo, came to Tampa in what was it, about 1912 from Cuba, yeah?
Well, he came to Tampa a couple of years earlier, but he came to Key West in 1906. It was 1905, 1906. The older I get, the more that I think it was 1906. I said the other day 1905, and then I started checking myself in my mind, and I think it's 1906. He was at the age of 15. He came from Havana to Key West to make cigars. They have gone he's originally from Guinas in the province of Havana. It's a rural area outside of Havana, just like about 20, 25 minutes away. It's where the first train tracks were built in Cuba, and it was the area with all the vegetables, tobacco at that time. It was for all the trading and so forth. When Spain, it was still a Spanish colony, and that area, it was during the Spanish-American War. All the families, had a very difficult time. They were peasants. They were tobacco growers. They made cigars, not a national, international brands, but at that time they were just commodities. They made cigars and they would sell it to the soldiers or the local people, or trade it for food or whatever. And my grandfather had 9 brothers and sisters. And they had moved to Key West because Key West was the booming industry for cigars. Remember the industry, the cigar industry at one time was in Key West. It was huge. People from Cuba, Spain, and everything, they set up factories in Key West because they had access to the largest market in the world, which was the Northeast of the United States and the Midwest, Chicago, of course. So all the Cuban factories and factories from Spain were in Key West. So my grandfather's older brothers and sisters, several of them, had moved to Key West years earlier to make cigars so they could help the struggling families save some money and send some money back home for the family. And my grandfather, at the age of 15, actually went to Key West with just, whatever he could pack in a little backpack or whatever they used to travel with back then, was on a ferry. And his mission was to go to Key West and to find his brothers and sisters. Wow. So he arrived there and he started working, because they were all cigar makers, started working at the Gato factory. And, it's part of history. And then, all of a sudden, the railroad is finished in Tampa, which was a plant finished the railroad before Flagler did. And then all the industry moved to Tampa because Tampa had the access to be able to get to the Northeast. And Tampa Bay is a natural port, and it's on the Gulf of Mexico. And if you look at Havana on the map, it's on the Gulf of Mexico. People think of Miami with the Cuban community, but that's after the revolution, with the Castro revolution. But before, Tampa was the huge Cuban community, and it was the cigar capital of the world. As a matter of fact, well, they went to Tampa because first the railroad was built there first, and second because Key West, people think that tobacco and cigars was the biggest industry, but their biggest industry was the shipwreck industry. This Key West is surrounded completely. That's why when you go there, you know, I love to go there with Alan Goldfarb, my pirate brother. We walk the streets and, you know, we look at all these things with the pirates and all that. And that's what it was, the island of pirates. That's why the theme of pirates is so popular there for tourists. Because
there's more shipwrecks there than I think any other concentration in the world, correct?
I'm not
Outside
sure.
of Key West there.
Paul, you're very much good in information than I am, but I do know that I've heard many times going to tours and everything and studying Key West history. It's surrounded by a lot of reefs. So those wooden boats would hit the reefs, and people, scavengers would be waiting just to, you know, to pick up whatever the shipwreck was. So Tampa Bay is a natural port. So it was only natural. You know, if you go straight, you see Havana right in Tampa Bay, you got Louisiana and Tampa Bay. It was a natural. So all the tobacco would come in as cigar makers. And Tampa boomed to things that blow people's mind. And, you know, I was just talking the other day to Benjamin Menendez, which is one of the last, the greatest Cuban legend heroes in the cigar industry. And we were talking about the days of Tampa. He was interviewed on Meet the Professor. And people find it hard to believe that Tampa during the 20s and 30s made 500 million cigars with Cuban tobacco. That's more than Nicaragua, Honduras, Jamaica, Mexico, Cuba, and Dominican Republic. Wow. You know, think about that. That was Tampa. You had factories in Pennsylvania. You have factories in Cleveland, in Ohio. You have factories in New York. You have other factories in, you know, Florida. This was Tampa. That's how big the industry was. It was a culture. It was a way of life. Everything was tobacco. Your neighbors were all cigar makers. Every corner had cigar factories. Well, you know, that's the cradle where I was born. That's my earliest memories.
And then he started the company in 1912. Is that what
yes, that's correct. Yes, after Tampa started booming, he got, you know, my grandfather went there just to save some money and help his family and eventually go back to Cuba. And he saw what was happening in Tampa, and he had an offer to move to Tampa. My grandfather was a young man, good cigar maker, and he moved to Tampa and he became partners with Victor Diaz. And Victor Diaz, in history, that's why we go back a long time, is Janito Oliva's grandfather. It's Meca Diaz's father. Yes, that was my grandfather's partner. He brought my grandfather. Victor was an entrepreneur, businessman. I believe, if I remember my memory serves me right, he was an accountant, everything, businessman, but he needed a blender cigar maker. And he partnered with my grandfather, and they started a Fuente company in 1912. And they were doing really, really well. They got up to 500 cigar makers for what I was always told. And what I saw in all the old documents and the papers and everything, there was a huge fire in 1924 while my grandfather was in Cuba. He used to go for months during the tobacco season and to visit family and tobacco, because it took a long time to organize the tobacco back then. Remember, it was put in wooden ferries or whatever ferries to send to Tampa. So he would spend months. And during that time, the factory completely burned down and my grandfather lost everything.
Wow. So
that was our first big tragedy.
It seems like with a lot of the historic families that have been around for many, many years, unfortunately, there's always tragedy. I mean, I think that's what kind of makes the families historic, is getting through those tragedies. You know?
Well, you know, thinking back, I said the word tragedy, but I look back now and for me, you know, 3 generations later, and for my children 4, it became an opportunity, because it's part of a story, of a real story of blood, sweat, and tears. And it's something that is so forceful that it's really what we pass down to our children. It's all the sacrifices and the perseverance never to give up, and for the family to stick together, and the strength of the family. And whether the family is your direct heritage and lineage, or your family, or your friends, or the people who are part of your community, or your extended family. It's family. It's people who stick together for one cause, one belief, and it really becomes a force.
I believe that too. I've always said that adversity is one of the key ingredients to any greatness. So I think that, you know, it's hard to achieve any level of greatness without some adversity. I think it's a component of what makes things or people great. So,
well, how can you become great if you don't know what it's like to go through adverse times? Really, I mean, I agree. It builds character with people, and it builds stronger companies because you know you've gone through the worst that you could possibly imagine, and here we are now in this day and age. And
we don't ever say things like that. No, Paul, we don't say going through the worst. You never know.
I was just thinking the same thing, man. It could,
don't go there.
I guess it could always be worse. You're right.
All right. It can always be worse.
But
right there's a sign of someone who hasn't had that much adversity. Anyone who had any real adversity in life never thinks like that.
No, not at all. The snake could bite you twice if you survive.
I have plenty of adversity. My dog's on Prozac.
Yeah, that's your level of adversity. You're depressed dog.
First world problems.
But earlier I was fascinated listening to you speak about Michael Jordan and so forth. But you talk about adversity and challenges and everything, growing up with his older brothers and everything. But he just fought his way through. He just never gave up and became the greatest in the world. I watched his documentary with my son, and I learned so much just by watching it. Just motivated you to see someone that was never satisfied, that perfection didn't exist. And I think we could apply it to our home lives. We could apply that to our business lives or to our personal lives in any way. Perfection doesn't exist, and we're human beings. We realize that we strive for that moment. It's just, I've always used the example because I am a big Michael Jordan fan. I always use the example that perfection doesn't exist and use Michael Jordan, that he could be right under the hoop, and this is a game-winning shot. And he goes right under and it goes, and it just spins around, spins and spins and spins, and boop, falls off. But yet he could be on the other side of the court almost, and just like the buzzer's going to ring, he throws it and it goes, swoop,
right.
It goes right in. And Michael knew that, and he always fought every time to make sure that he would reduce the amount of misses, and not, and by knowing that he was human, he would err. It wasn't like, how could I make more shots? No, it's how could I reduce the missed shots? And that's, I think, we all apply to our lives. So, I am far from, I err so much, but I realize that in my business world, we're just constantly trying to improve things and make less errors because we realize we err every moment of the day.
Yeah, I think Will Smith said it once that I heard him say it. I don't know if he was the originator of the comment, but failure is the key element to success. The difference is you just have to make sure you fail forward. Don't fail backwards, you fail forward. When you fail, you move forward from the failure, and that's part of any success story. But, talking about great families and the tradition of your family and humble beginnings, I mean, I read somewhere that the family was actually rolling cigars in the kitchen in the early days. Was that true?
Yes, it was. It was. Listen, it's possible it was in the kitchen, but the factory was the door that was continued from the kitchen. So basically, yes, cigar makers, maybe they need a little bit of water for the wrappers to put on the little cloth because the wrapper's getting dry because it got cold as shit in Tampa during the winter. And it was just, kerosene heaters. So I'm sure a cigar maker would go there, my grandma's kitchen, just turn on the faucet, get some tap water and squeeze this cloth and take. Yeah, it was all. But one thing that I do remember, I mean, you had the kitchen, then you had the little dining. You just walk from one place to the other, dining room, and then you had the living room, and then you had the porch where everybody used to congregate in the sidewalk. People walk by, they go to the porch. You had the rocking chairs and everything, and then you had the living room. And I remember having the measles there. I remember having the moms there and trying to watch Mickey Mouse, and my eyes were burning and I was crying. I remember 2, 3 years old, 4 years. I went through those things. I lived there. And they used to take out the furniture of my grandmother's living room, and they would take it out to the street, to the front. We were a humble family. It wasn't that much furniture with all the uncles, the cousins, the neighbors. And then back then we made a lot of short filler cigars. And short filler, when you blend, you get the tobacco from one country, another country, different parts. And you open those cartons that they come in when they ship them, or bales, and you loosen it all up. And then you have to get the pitchforks. You get them, you loosen up, and you get pitchforks and you throw it against the wall. and then you throw the other one, and you start. Everybody gets a different bale, and you start. That's how you blended it. With pitchforks against the wall, and then from one side of the room to the other side of the room, and there's all this dust. And I remember all the men, they used to wear the white handkerchief. They get a handkerchief tied up so they could breathe.
Wow.
But they used to do this for 4 or 5 hours to do the blends. Then they put it back already blended inside the cases or the boxes, and then you would go there and they would clean up all the living room and put my grandmother's furniture back in.
Oh my God!
Those are the humble beginnings. Yes, that is so true.
That is awesome. What eventually led to the move to DR? I mean, I know you've probably talked about this many times over the years, but there's always new. I always operate on the assumption there's always new cigar smokers to our lifestyle and our passion who may have not heard the story, and the fact that was a move and it was elemental to the success of the company today, the Chateau de la Fuente. How did that whole move develop?
Well, that's a long story, and I think the program's not that long. But no. I mean, and you're right. There are young people coming in to our industry every day. When I say young, there's 25 to 35, 30, whatever. Everything is relative in life. And I remember when I thought that 25 was over the hill already. So, but there are young people. We want all the young people. We want the young manufacturers. We want the young consumers, because they bring so much. They bring so much information and knowledge because they're so curious. Look at Paul. Alex. They're the world of information. They're on top of things. Absolutely. And all that. Old school wasn't that way. Old school is whatever we learned when we were young. That's the only thing we retain. But how did we move to the Dominican Republic? Well, first, my grandfather was 46 years older than my father. They were small, humble family, like many. There were hundreds in Tampa because you had 200 major, large factories, but you had in every corner 3 or 4 little mom and pop, what they call Buckeyes, chinchads and chinchales. So my father comes in, and my father was if you look at the Fuente documentaries, I think you get a feeling for what took place. Father was younger and he wanted to build a business. He was the first to actually offer credit. My grandfather, no tiki, no washi. If you don't give me the dough, you don't get the buy. He can show you the cigar. Go to the store, okay, pay me, and you get the cigars. And he carried all the accounts, his entire bank account. He carried in a roll of money, of cash, in a rubber band in his pocket. And my father changed that, so we started growing and growing. And my father had several moves in Tampa. He moved to a larger building, then he expanded that building. And then, right before the Cuban embargo, or right at the Cuban embargo, we got this building that we're in now, historical building, which was the original Salvador Rodriguez, Charles the Great building, built in 1895, one of the founders and developer of Ybor City. That's the building we're in now, where we have all our offices and so forth, our headquarters, and right across is our distribution center. And we're there, and we're doing very well. But cigar makers started as they started getting into the 70s and everything, started retiring, and they started getting Social Security in their 60s or 65, whatever it was back then. And you imagine you had to go up these stairs and all that. And sometimes in Tampa, it got 40 something degrees. So these old cigar makers, they all had arthritis and everything. Look, right now, I couldn't play golf or the piano like I used to. It happens. With age and everything, they started, little by little, we started losing our workforce. And we tried for years and years to train people. I even remember there was a program with the government that they would pay 50% and you would pay 50% to train people. And it was a time after Vietnam. There was a lot of people coming in from Vietnam, from different parts, Cuban immigrants, whatever, from different parts of the world. And we rented Frank and Nessa's old building, which was Eden, because we didn't have enough space in our building already because we had grown so much. And we set a whole handmade operation with the cigar makers we had, which were about 30 at that time, which it doesn't seem like many, but for being Tampa, already in the 70s, that's a lot of cigar makers. And we had about 30, so we built it up to around 60, teaching people. But once they learned to say hello, the next word they learned was say goodbye. and they preferred to work at McDonald's or flipping hamburgers or whatever it was they had to do for less money than what they were being paid, but it was more prestigious than become a cigar maker with a bunch of old people who were 7 years old sitting across from them in a place working with tobacco. There was just not a culture, or there wasn't this thing at that time. So my father started searching. My father was in Mexico for a while. We partnered with Jorge Ortiz, and I know you probably know that Mr. Ortiz was what a gentleman, beautiful person. I loved him. Didn't work out from there. He was he was a short time. He was in Puerto Rico, and from Puerto Rico tried Jamaica, didn't work. And a cousin of ours from what I mentioned with George Padron the other day, Orlando Garcia, was the biggest distributor in Miami, and he came from Cuba, and he started with us, and we used to distribute a brand called Moya. Moya was one of the largest selling cigar, but it was an expensive cigar. It was a well-known cigar in the island of Cuba. And my cousin, Orlando Garcia, who was my grandmother's age, who, he came from Cuba in 1960. He had visited Dominican Republic, and he came back with a box of cigars, and he calls my father, Carlito, wait till you see what I have. I want you to try this. Because he was our distributor. He was my father's partner. And it was a box of La Aurora cigars, La Aurora number 4. And he said, Dominican Republic, I've been to Puerto Rico, I've been to Mexico, I've been to Central America, I've traveled all over the world, but I've never been to Santo Domingo. It is beautiful. It reminds me so much of Cuba, the palm trees, the people, the music, the life. It's beautiful. And they're making cigars there. No one knew about the Dominican Republic back in the 60s if you lived in Florida. Maybe if you lived in the Northeast New York, it was a Dominican community after Trujillo or during Trujillo that had to leave. But no one knew about the Dominican Republic. You knew about Jamaica, Colombia, and of course we all knew that. We grew up in the 70s and the 60s. You knew about those countries. But no, in Cuba and Puerto Rico, but you didn't know about the Dominican Republic. And brought back the cigars that were beautifully made. And my father, after that, says, man, let me see, maybe that's a place I could go. Because at that time, we were using Dominican tobacco sold to us by the Mendez family. And I know all of you know Siegfried Mendez, Fito Mendez and all that. His grandfather used to supply us with tobacco in Tampa. And as a matter of fact, that's where I started really my first apprenticeship, was living at his grandfather's house back in the early 70s. I used to live in Mr. Maruski's Fito, which I call him, his grandfather's house, Jose Pepe Mendez. And I used to spend months there and going to their warehouse and learning how to strip tobacco, because my father wanted me to get an understanding what tobacco is, from the farming, the preparation, all the way down, because living in Tampa, that was not seen unless you were offshore in Latin America at that time. So, even though we had the experience, my father knew there was great tobacco growing there because we used it. That was the most expensive, the best tobacco available to us at that time. And I'm not comparing it to other tobacco. We used to use Honduran tobacco. We used to use tobacco from Brazil and all at that time. And the Cubans who worked, the old school, the old timers, my mentors, the tobacco from Santo Domingo was the best tobacco to them, the one that looked more like Cuba, because some of the other tobacco were more aggressive, but Santo Domingo has something that's very special. It's got a sweetness to it. It's got a nobility to it. It's something different. And we know all the different tobaccos are necessary. Just like when you cook, you need something that's a little spicy, and you need something that's a little, they all have different elements that they contribute. So my father went to La Romana because there was a free zone that was being built there. And it was an opportunity for the first time for foreign investment after the downfall of Trujillo, who was a dictator in Dominican Republic, which was U.S. Marines were there in 1965. I think a lot of you could remember that. So my father went to La Romana. He went to see the office of the free zone and everything. And literally, they made his life impossible. They shut him off right away. No, we can't allow cigar making here, this and that. But you got a great cigar brand, and they're in Santiago. And that's the reason I'm here. And I hear this great place, and we're an old family. He was shut down. But what we did not know at that time, that was owned by Gulf and Western. And Gulf and Western had just negotiated with Tabacalera de Garcia in the Canary Islands. To bring their own factory there. They were not going to let competition in. So my father got discouraged and everything, came back to Tampa and all that. And we got a call from Mr. Angel Oliva, which I'm going to say, these are things that we didn't speak about for many, many years. We never talk about who our godfather is, who our mentor was. We just kept, it was something that you don't talk to. People that help you, they help you from the heart. And they didn't want anybody to know because, it was an industry of envy, of jealousy, no different than now.
Right.
And Mr. Oliva calls my father, look, you've been looking for handmade cigars and this and that. There's a little factory in Nicaragua that they have cigars, but they don't have anywhere to sell them. It's accumulating. I think you should go visit them. I'll take you there. So really, we went to Nicaragua just as an exploration, and we go to Estelí. There was 3 factories there at that time. 3. There was Somoza's factory, which Joya de Nicaragua at that time, still owned by Somoza. And there was René Garcia Pulido. They were made Carlito cigars. Maybe Alan's old enough. I don't know if he remembers Carlito cigars, but and there was Padron. And then there's this little factory. Now listen to this, who the owners were, the same owners that built Joya in Nicaragua. It was Fernando Fonticiella, the tobacco man, the cigar maker, the blender and everything, Joya, Nicaragua. There was Juan Francisco Bermejo, who was the guy, the man, I'm sorry to say the guy. He became a very close friend of mine, which I admire and everything. I have great memories. Who was the person who grew the tobacco and sold it to Joya, Nicaragua. And you had, no longer Somoza was there, but before you had Simon Camacho, who was a salesperson who opened the deals with Oppenheimer and everything, but he had that combination that made the access to the market. So Oliva took my father there and said, you should go there because at least you buy the cigar, look at them, they're good, you buy them, and you at least have cigars to sell. So my father went this and that, went to see cigars, and my father said, cigars are good. It was the same people, Joya, Nicaragua. And probably a lot of the same tobacco, I would assume, because it was grown by Bermejo and in Porvenir and his farms in Paso Leon. So we get the cigars, we bring them back to Tampa, we pack them, we do this, sell them. And they freaked out. They couldn't believe it. And all of a sudden, Bermejo, who was a very sharp businessman, he calls Oliva up. He says, "Oh, we want Carlito." But they used to call my father Carlito. I became the Carlito, but my father was known to all his peers and everything as Carlito. And
it's an affectionate term.
Yes, exactly. It's little Carlos, or whatever. It's affectionate, like Bobby to Robert or whatever, Bobby, Jimmy to James. But so they called my father down. They said, "Listen, we built the biggest company and we did great with Joya, Nicaragua. We had Simon Camacho, but no longer he's not here. We can make the perfect team." And I remember that my father didn't want to do it, but I was just said, "Dad, come on." My father said, I don't need partners. I don't believe in partners because sooner or later there'll be a conflict of interest. I have my way of thinking. My father, he was hesitant, but I said, "Dad, please, we got to do it. I want to handmade cigars." I saw the romanticism. I was like 20 years old or something. And so, man, handmade cigars, Nicaragua, the adventure, not only that, there were girls, man, it was, anyway, I saw the way they looked at me. I was 20 years old. I was a hunk, I saw the way they looked at me. I go, "Bro, I got to come back here." I spent a lot of time in Nicaragua, but okay. So my dad said no. So then Angel Oliva Jr., Pichi, Janito's brother, the old man Oliva and all them. My father said, "No, man." He says, my father being a smart man, he says, "Okay, I'll invest if you invest with me. If you believe in this, you invest with me, I'll invest." So our silent partner was the Olivas. And that factory grew from leaps and bounds from nothing. And when we were making about 18,000 cigars, they were expanding to the back and everything. As a matter of fact, I just went to the property a year ago and had some photos there. Man, there were tears running down it was, wow. I saw the stone, the part of the brick, because everything would burn down and everything, but there was still part of a wall that I remembered. And I told the people, there's like this vents on the top. They're made of cement that you're going to see transparency through, like Victorian style. The people who were with me was Ciro. I remember at the Rich Stolak and Felix Mesa. And when we walked to the back and I saw that and I pointed, I broke down. But so we went to Nicaragua. Things went really, really well. And here comes the revolution. That day, every factory was burned down. The Carlito factory or René Garcia Pulido's factory, Padron factory. It was in March 1978. And our factory was called Don Victor. That was the name because the original, the Fuente, the person, his brother-in-law was Victor something, was a lawyer, and it was called Don Victor. I don't know why, but that was the name that we inherited. So we burned down. And we had a lot of friends and everything from there. We lost everything. We went to Honduras for a while. We made cigars with different people. We started different factories. Even the person that made Romeo and Juliet, Humberto Garcia, we went to go in a partnership. We filed and we established a company called Tabacalera Fuente Internacional. I mean, we were in Honduras for a little while. And then in the end, we're with Julio Iroa. So this was the last. Julio Iroa, we're going to partner with them. We're going to do this thing, a factory.
This is Christian's father.
Christian's, yes, we go back a long time.
Okay.
I remember.
You might not know who.
You talk about the little Pillsbury Doughboy. I remember Christian like running and falling and rolling around. Really, I couldn't believe how he grew up to be such a beautiful, handsome, tall man. He was like a little butterball. And
that is so funny.
Always getting in trouble. One time they were looking for him all over. He was inside the washing machine. Yep. But I used to stay there in that house and everything. And his family, we go back. And we're getting ready to start again and do something. And all of a sudden, they had a fire. It was where the theater was at. The movie theater was in the park. And they had a big fire. We lost any possibility of a future. Wow. So we go back to Tampa. And we see the writing on the wall. And we're sitting in Spanish Park restaurant one day. So my father said, son, you know what? Every day today, 2 more cigar makers, one passed away, the other one retired. There's no future here. Either we have to really concentrate on making machine-made cigars in Tampa, or we have to move offshore. We can't stay here. And because and we have a good business. We still have a good, solid business. We could sell out and we could make good money and everything. But you know, the future is yours. Wow. You guys, without saying much, you bring out a lot, man. It's almost, I feel like I'm being psychoanalyzed. I'm sitting in a psychologist chair after drinking a couple of Prozacs. I mean, if I wasn't sitting, on the other side of the world, I would think that Paul put some Prozac or whatever he calls that stuff that he gives his dogs. But
that's Paul. Paul's got the Prozac for his dog.
But anyway, my father.
No, that's a pretty deep perspective from a father, because I'm another person, because I always admire people who worked for their father, whether it's forever or even a short period of time. And I worked for my father for a half a decade, and that's a pretty amazing perspective for your dad to have. The future's yours. What do you want to do?
Yes, I was young.
It's amazing.
Maybe 24 years old or 20 something. I don't recall exactly, but maybe 24, 25. We're sitting in Spanish Park, and he says, the writing's on the wall. We're going to machine-made cigars. We make more machine, but I know you're into romanticism. I see you collecting labels. You're constantly reading, looking at the old history. Always hung around the old generation, the stories of Cuba, the tobacco. I was hungry for knowledge of the past, and I was very disappointed the way the cigar industry was going. How I would look at these beautiful photos of boxes with lithography from Havana, from Germany, all these beautiful labels. I used to collect and see the boxes and the bands, and everything was getting the cardboard. Every cigar band was brown and white. Everything was just getting less and less and less and flimsy. And it's not the world I wanted to live in. And I wanted to recapture the history and so forth. So my father's sitting with me. He says, son, what is it you want to do? What is it you want in your life? We could sell out. We still have a good business. If not, we're going to have to move to another country. And I'm a Tampa boy, 3rd generation. My father, Tampa's my home. I never really went to Nicaragua, but I spent 3 or 4 weeks there. I come back to Tampa. My father go. Then when he's not there, we went back and forth. So he said, but we're going to have to move. We got to really, because there's no future here. And I said, Dad, no, this is my life. This is what I want. He says, but we don't have the money. It's going to cost money to go. He says, you have a little mail order business. My father helped me set up a little mail order business. It was called Ybor City Cigar Company. So I had something to do since I was around 17, 18 years old. And it was a brand called Ybor City. And it was a mail order. I had a few. I remember I used to know every customer by name. I used to make the little boxes in the back, packing for the UPS, the different zones where it went, and it was, I had saved a little cash, not much. I think it was $11,000 or $12,000 I had in the bank account, and my father says, "Well, we're going to move. You got to be my partner. How much money you have?" And remember, I got all the money. Yeah, we're going to move, Dad. And my father turned in all his retirement plans, all his insurance, life insurance, turned in every single thing he had. And we went to the Dominican Republic, and I became his partner. And that's how, and the rest is future. Went to the Dominican Republic. We arrived he went first in the late 1979, late 1979. And in January 1980, he was able to locate a building in the industrial free zone of Santiago. And it was just the beginning when nobody even knew where the Dominican Republic was at. And this is the honest truth. And, today, Dominican Republic is the #1 destination for tourism in Latin America and the Caribbean. But nobody even knew the Dominican Republic was 1980. Things were much, much different. And we moved to the Dominican Republic. I moved later on that year, but my father went there without, started from scratch, didn't know anyone, didn't know where to go, what to do. He used to tell me stories that he would stay in Hotel Mercedes, and he would leave his room, had to walk half a block to go to the bathroom. It was, there was only one bathroom in the hallway, and it really started again from nothing and just with a dream and hope. We just work. And we were young. I don't think we could do it today. I don't think I would have the strength to do it today. We were young, ambitious, and we were adventurous, and we didn't care. We didn't give a shit. We just worked around the clock and every day and all this, and made our first cigars and smoked them, and we're so proud of it and everything. 7 cigar makers. Today we got near 3,000 employees. But but those 7 cigar makers were the happiest times of my life. We all slept in a little house. I mean, I'm talking about 15 people. And the rooms were small, like 2 people in a room. Some people, 4 people in a room. Others slept on little sandwiches, what they call them, those beds in the living room. My uncles used to come, my aunts, and we just, it was one big party. My mother cooking for everyone, and we're all there. There was only 2 TV channels, and there was nothing to do but watch soap operas. That's how I improved my Spanish, because there was only 2 soap operas, one from Venezuela and one from Mexico. And then I remember. And that's why I don't watch soap operas. You get addicted to that shit. I got addicted. We got to go home. We got to go home. The soap opera. We got to go home.
The telenovela. Got to see it.
You got it. Yeah.
It's funny because I look back at some of the things I did early in my career, and I just think that's part of youth, where you're fearless. Because I say the same thing. It's like, I don't know how I did that back then. I would never make that kind of move today. Well, it's just, I think early when you're young, you're willing to take these. But listen, great risk, great reward. That's how life works.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There's also great risk and great luck. I don't say a reward, because my children graduated from university and they still don't have a car. My son doesn't have a car. My daughter, only my older daughter, who after got her master's, she was working with Tom James, and she had to go visit. She worked in South Florida and had to sell clothing and so I had to get her a car after she got her master's. Whatever. Well, but my other 2 children, one is 20, other 22. They don't have a car. You know why? Because I was 15 years old with a 1969 GTO with 400 something horsepower, and I'm alive because God had a plan for me.
Right.
I know that I don't want my children to be as spoiled as I was. I had, I had so much, and I was given so much, my father worked around the clock. I never saw my father practically work 18, 20 hours a day. Most of the time he slept in the factory. So I don't know if it was guilt that he wasn't home and I was his boy, but they gave me whatever I wanted. That was a big mistake. So I don't want to make, you learn from your mistakes and you don't pass them on, hopefully.
Well, it's funny because honestly, sure. and we'll cap on this before we take a quick break, but it's always a struggle as a parent, because we struggle with, we don't want our kids to go through the hard times that we had. We want them to have a better life, but it's those hard times that build the character. So we got to try to find that balance of making things better for them, but not so much easier for them. You know what I'm saying? It's a constant struggle. But
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
we're going to go to a quick break. After the break, we got another special guest other than the one over my right shoulder here. We'll talk. This is the pirate that Carlito keeps referring to.
Yes.
This is Alan Goldfarb. He has literally been working with me and my company since the day I got into this business 25 years ago. So he is the official pirate. I feel like I'm in Porky's, and this is like the guy over my shoulder talking.
No,
Porky's, that was Animal House. Animal House.
He's my what do you call it? Emotional support buddy. Because I told Alan, if I don't see you there, I'm afraid to be on this show, Alan, you know.
But yeah, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have another special guest. We got your daughter, Liana Fuente. We're going to get her on, talk about this epic thing that she accomplished this week in raising money for the Cancer Foundation and how awesome that was. And we'll have her on right after this. Don't go anywhere. A lot of cool stuff still ahead. Keep it lit.
Keep it lit.
Hola a todos, mi nombre es Elmer Suárez de la Flor de Copán en Honduras.
My name is Ernesto Kranwinkel and I'm from La Romana, Dominican Republic.
Hola, mi nombre es Diana, soy de Manizales, Colombia.
Díaz, Freddy Molina desde Estelí, Nicaragua.
Hola amigos, saludos a todos. María Santis, orgullosa de ser puertorriqueña.
Cheers, I'm Oliver, I'm from London, England.
I love H. Upman Añejo.
My favorite H. Upman Dominican cigar is the H. Upman Banker.
My favorite H. Upman cigar is the Hermanspach.
Favorite H. Upman is the H. Upman by AJ Fernandez.
Mi cigarro favorito es H. Upman Española.
I highly recommend you try the H. Upman 175th anniversary, awarded number 10 cigar of 2019.
One world together with H. Upman.
Surgeon General warning: cigars are not a safe alternative to cigarettes.
The prize.
And
welcome back to this epic episode of KMA Talk Radio. I am Honest Abe. I am broadcasting from our headquarters here in Portland Beach with our dear friend and Fuente representative Alan Goldfarb, aka the Pirate, over my shoulder. And we have one of the most historic, just accomplished person in the cigar industry, a dear friend of mine for many years, and it's an honor to have him on, Carlito Fuente Jr. So what a great show. So we have a special guest. I mean, there's no reason to beat to the point, but your daughter, Liana, obviously your family has been affected by, cancer and breast cancer. So she had put together this amazing fundraiser. And we have her on. There she is, Liana Fuente. Welcome to KMA Talk Radio.
Hi, I feel so honored to be here, man. This is my first time, and I woke up this morning so invigorated and so excited. Not only did I hit my goal of $40,000, I surpassed it.
Yes.
And I don't think it would have been possible if it wasn't for everyone in the cigar community that we have. I feel so humbled and blessed. And Abe, to you, man, you really got behind. I can't believe I looked how much you donated, and then I saw that you actually donated from your personal original opus that you've had for 20 years plus, I'm sure. And it's just, you didn't have to do that. And so many people that I don't even know have reached out and have calls, and I'm getting emails daily about saying my mother has been affected, my daughter is affected, my grandmother was affected, I'm affected as a man. And it's, so many times you look and you realize, I can't do anything. I'm just one person. Yes, you can. And yes, you can if you have an amazing community around you. And I wanted to come on and personally thank you myself from the bottom of my heart. And everybody, there's so many people that are, God, I don't want to start naming all the names because they know who they are, but from creating their own bobbleheads and donating their own cigars to raise money, all the other cigar manufacturers that donated as well. Arlene is a trooper. The other night we were on another show and she surprised me, and so much people have gotten my back. And I'm so humbled because anyone can make a change. I want to be that drop of water that creates a tidal wave. You know what I mean? And right now we're doing it. So I'm just honored and grateful to be here and to have you guys support me, especially my dad.
It was an honor to be involved. I was when Melanie Cisco reached out to me on Sunday and said, what could we do? And I think at that point you were like a little over halfway at your goal. And look, we all have charities. And I think most of this industry I mean, almost everybody I know at some point will always tie into some charity, one or another. It's really one of the most giving industries that I know of. As far as not being as big as some, multi-billion dollar, trillion-dollar industries. And everybody seems to rally together all the time. I mean, we do a great smoke event that's been tied to a major charity for 15 years now. And now it's tied to the Kids Cancer Foundation. Every manufacturer, and especially your family's company, who's been involved with my event since year one. Carlito was at our great smoke event year one.
That's awesome.
The first year I concocted it and thought about this crazy idea, and he came out and supported the event. And at that time, we raised money for Home Save. And everybody just rallies. It's a great community. So it was awesome to even just participate a little bit. And, my big question is, as I really want to know, because, I've heard this through the grapevine, is you're supposedly getting your hair shaved?
Yes, I am.
What?
Actually.
Yes. And from what I understand, you're letting your father shave your head.
He was so excited. He's like, "You're cutting your hair off?" And first, I was thinking my dad was going to talk me out of it. Deanna, your hair is so pretty. He's like, "Hell yeah." He goes, "I want to come and fly to Tampa myself, and I'm going to shave you bald, and this is awesome." And I'm like, "Oh, we're doing this. Okay, we're doing it." So I'm very happy to be doing it.
I said this to somebody the other day, and they're like, are you saying bald? I said, well, unless Carlito's become a hairstylist recently, I don't know how it's going to be any other way than bald.
Abe, I'm going to give you some competition, baby.
Oh, yeah. You got a lot of Now, have you ever...
That's amazing.
Have you ever sported a bald look?
No, but there's always a first time. And the thing is like, sometimes you have to, you said it earlier, you get big risk, big reward. And like I said, so I was thinking about it this morning. When I was 14, a really close friend of mine, his mother got diagnosed with breast cancer. And I was in high school. You don't really know what it is. And I saw her journey. And back then, chemotherapy wasn't what it was. And she lost her hair. She lost both breasts. It came back after 5 years. And I'm like, God. And then my aunt got diagnosed too late because she died at 43. And it started and spread to her body. And at that time, cancer, it was like everything was a tumor. No one really said the C word. There wasn't this backing and awareness of, what it really is and how it can be prevented. A lot of you may not know that breast cancer is a second leading death in people. And not only does it affect women, but it also affects men. So 1 in 8 women will die of breast cancer. And 1 in 34 men will get it and also pass away from breast cancer because it's, this is not about anything. It's something hormonal that happens. It's the food that we consume. It can happen to anyone, black, white, no matter what race, no matter what upbringing, no matter what background, no matter how much money you have in your pocket, it will affect you. And this is a time, this is a cause that's so close to my heart, and I want to make a difference. I'm 40 years old. I'm halfway through my life, and I sat back, what am I doing? What have I done? So the fact that everybody's behind me, I'm going bald, and I can't.
That is amazing. I mean, there are places in the country too, Liana, and you guys would know better than I would, but that like Long Island, for one, is one of the top areas for breast cancer in the world, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, my grandmother had breast cancer. My aunt had breast cancer. I mean, so many people in my personal life, and they don't necessarily know why either, which is the scary part. But like you're saying, there are things you can do, food and diet wise, right? I mean, kind of stay away from processed foods. They're saying, at least. I mean, I don't know if we know for sure.
Statistically, look, my grandmother, my aunt, my great grandmother, they all have breast cancer. Statistically, I will have breast cancer. So, it's true. It's a reality. So either I can sit back and cry, or I can do something now to make a difference. So it's just better for me tomorrow and better for anyone around me and my community, my friends. I just want to make a difference. And I think this is one way to do it. And it's amazing that the cigar community has my back. Not just women, but men.
Absolutely.
And men, real men wear pink. And let me tell you, pink is a color, it's not a soft color. It's a power color. It's a mystery color. It's a new beginning. It's a new rebirth. It's power, and when Dad surprised me with this special rare pink, we knew that was happening. Yeah, no, my dad, look, so when I first started doing this like 15 years ago, my dad pulls out this neon yellow pink wallet. And I'm like, Papa. He goes, no, my daughter. And that was before, this is 15, 16 years ago. And my dad, since the beginning, always had my back, and he was the first person to donate, the first person to push me. So, I mean, now we're using our platform to actually reach out and help so many people. And the fact that my dad surprised me, and I saw that article, and that was the first time I had heard, I cried like a baby. Cried. So it's just awesome. Now, my guys on the sales force, Alan, you look really sexy in that shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Beautiful.
my team is wearing pink. The whole factory in the Dominican is all pink. You guys have pushed it. Rare Pink is going to take over. This is going to be the biggest thing ever, and we're going to make a difference. And there's nothing that makes my heart so happy and accomplished that we're doing our part to make tomorrow better. So.
Well, you did an amazing thing, you know, and just trying to make a difference is always a monumental step for everybody. And I want to commend you on your bravery to make a statement and actually go and donate your, because I'm going to tell you what, Paul, our co-host here.
Here we go. I was waiting for this to come up.
He's got this little mini farm that's growing right here that he doesn't even have the braveness to shave. Look at that.
Well, somebody told
I did tell you.
that you're going to do it with me. You're going to go bald too. Is that true?
Listen, Liana, I will. I told Abe on the show that if we did some kind of a charitable event where it raised money for a good cause, I'm up for that.
Paul, you have that much hair. What kind of charity do you need? It's not even like you're doing
Right.
look at Liana. Look at Liana's hair. When she shaves her head, she's making your statement. If you shave your head, you're only improving your looks.
Listen, Paul, you're on the last days. Paul, time to let it go.
Well, listen,
that's why I'm hanging on. I'm hanging on for dear life, man.
I say we make a movement. Now with social media and all these lives, I say we all go live at one time and everybody just do it. Bring awareness. Let's go viral. Let's take over.
You know, I belong to a Facebook group, which you guys can look up. It's called the Mr. Clean Crew. And it's all bald-headed guys who are cigar, passionate people. So there's Facebook groups out there for us.
Well, I'm not a guy, but I'll join in because I'll be.
You're definitely
exactly. You're invited.
It's not just a men's group. It's anybody who's bald, even if it's just temporary bald. We had guys who shaved their heads just to be in the group, and we invited them. Yeah. So look,
bald is beautiful.
Bald is beautiful. I won't argue that point. So, Carlito, I don't know if you have the list. I've been trying to get a hold of Melanie because look, I know the prize pack that we gave away. Because we threw in this box of Opus, and then you had sent us this beautiful box here, and then donated your hat, which Melanie has, but she's been doing the drawing. We were going to announce it live on the air today. I reached out to her last night. She hadn't gotten back to me. Do you have the winner or no?
I don't have the winner, but you know what? Listen, I'm going to reach out to Rocky Patel and to Nish and Nimish because she's with those boys,
Oh, that's why we haven't heard from her. They kidnapped her probably.
Oh yeah, she was broadcasting last night with them, I believe.
Well, we don't have the winner since she was in charge of the drawing, but she will get back to us. We will post it on our Facebook page. We still got another hour almost. We'll try to find out who won this epic prize pack that we were involved in, but there were other major prizes that people from the industry, Rocky and Lido, and I'm trying to go off my memory.
Ernesto
Perez, yes. Yeah. So that'll all be handled with Melanie, but yeah.
But Abe, since you're the shot maker and you make these things happen, will you reach out to Lito Gomez? I've been trying to call him for the last week, tell him that he donated a box of double Ligeros.
My dad is cyber stalking. He's been telling every show that he's been on, he goes, have you talked to Lito? Make sure if you see Lito, I've been trying to call him. I'm like, Papa, talk about calling the man out.
We just had him on a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that was great.
Right.
Yeah, I will send my minions out to find him.
You mentioned Melanie Cisco. She's famous for a slip. And last week I made a slip, but my slip was a slip of the tongue. People are writing in this and that, and we're promoting this great cause, and she's been a great help. She's been every night talking about it and so forth. And it's we have to reach out to as many people as possible because this is something that is everyone together. And so somebody said, Carlito, how about your mustache? Will you take off your mustache? And I go,
oh
shit.
Wow.
Shit. And so I haven't been without a mustache since I was about 14 years old.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen you, Papa, without a
No,
mustache.
you haven't. You haven't. But what are you going to say? You know, it's my baby girl. It's my baby. I'm so proud of it. So the day, first of all, I already got it from Walgreens. I'm going to have my hair with that pink spray, and I'm going to my mustache will be pink. And when I finish buzzing all her hair off and it's nice and clean, and I shave it and make it nice and polished, I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to take off my mustache.
Oh, wow.
Everything is going to be filmed, and it's going to be live on Facebook, and we're going to document it. It's going to be done professionally for the world to know.
Pay-per-view. You should do pay-per-view.
We should.
Raise some more money. In fact, Liana should just probably give you a straight razor shave and do it.
I would love to do that.
I'll be afraid to.
Wow. Well, Liana, listen, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for what you did this week. And honestly, eventually, hopefully, maybe we get you on to do a whole show. Find out what
I would be honored, and I can't say thank you enough for all your support and everybody who's, like I said, it's not a one person. It's a big, huge family, a community. I mean, I can start naming the names. I started going through. I was like, man, this is unbelievable. We're at 6. So when I first started it, I said it in March. I wanted to do 40,000 for my birthday, and then COVID hit. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna make it, but I'm gonna still try. I'm gonna still do my best, and I'm gonna do my difference. Not only did I make the 40,000, I surpassed it. And today is the last day for obviously it's the whole cancer month, but today's the last day to kind of turn in for my team. And there's nothing more than I would like to do is to show everyone what a little girl from Ybor City that had a vision and a dream to do, and to make a difference in her community and globally. And listen, with social media being so prevalent, so global, you know, this is a big thing. And I really want to tell everybody, look what the cigar community did. So I can't thank you enough for having me, Abe. I'll be honored to be on the team and on the show going forward. You know, I am completely humbled, and I am at your disposal. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. And if I could do anything to help you, estamos familia, hermano. And thank you so much for having me.
Liana, Daddy has a question.
Yeah.
Daddy has a question because I haven't seen Facebook and everything. I was so busy making like my 6th pot of coffee this morning to be on time. I'm never on time for anything. But what is the last number? Where are we at now?
I think we're at $66,000 or $67,000.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And just less than a week ago, it was at 22.
Correct.
Just less than a week ago. So that was amazing. Great last push by everybody this week. It was really great.
Absolutely. It's the power of the people, man. You can definitely move mountains if you really believe in something. So I can't thank everyone enough. If you guys are watching, supported, even if you just share. I mean, it's not just so much, just share. And if you can't physically do something, give of your time, whatever it is. If it's not breast cancer, whatever it is, whether it's just maybe volunteering at the local humane society, just do something of yourself to make tomorrow better. And that's my challenge for everyone. So I can't thank you guys enough.
Absolutely. Is the link closed for donations, or is it still
no,
open?
it's still open. It's
all right.
Still
Well,
open,
whatever the total is, it just went up $100. The pirate here
Thank you.
donated. I'm gonna make it for him online right now. Get it done. Make sure it gets done.
Well, well, you know, we're all one family. I'm gonna match it, Abe. So another $100 from Daddy.
Look at that. All right. Look at that. All right.
You know, realistically, it's just one scotch left,
right?
And with a tip. That's all it is.
That's the way I look at donations. You know, it's one frivolous thing I would have spent money on. I'd rather put it to a good cause.
Especially for such a good cause.
That young man there, Daniel Caldwell, I just saw his name pop up. I mean, there's so many. He has been awesome. I mean, there's so many people that have donated and shared and post and really rallied behind. I cannot thank you guys enough.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And we will definitely reach out to you. We'll get you on KMA and
I look forward to it.
Maybe
we'd love to talk to you.
Yeah.
I'd be honored.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, guys. Take care.
Bye now.
Take care of my daddy.
Take care.
Love you.
We will.
Love you too.
You got to be such a proud papa, Carlito.
Oh, I am.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that really is.
That is.
But speaking of family, to get back on some interesting topics here. One of the biggest announcements, I think, that made more waves than anything I'd seen in a long time. I mean, I think this is an epic, what I'd like to call probably a collaboration, as we often talk about on our radio show. News was announced this week of the collaboration project of you and the Padron family to make tribute cigars to your fathers, who are both legendary people. I mean, I unfortunately, I fortunately really got to know Jose very, very well and affectionately. I think he was very integral to a lot of things the family did with me, because for whatever reason he liked me. He used to call me El Gordo de West Palm Beach. You know what I mean? Literally, George would talk to him about something, and he'd be like, "Smoke in, El Gordo de West Palm Beach," two legendary men in this industry, and tell us a little bit about this project, because I think everybody's dying to find out about it.
No, it's something. It's something that evolved organically. But before I mentioned that, I am enjoying one of the cigars that I made in honor of Jose Orlando Padron. It's something that I should not be smoking, but I guess I got so nervous after this last show, this announcement that we did, that I said, it's like George and I were speaking, Jorge, and I said, holy shit, man, the expectation is so high. We're human beings. It's that Michael Jordan analogy again, and but anyway, just like you should have not brought out that cigar in the beginning of the show, because that shipment that I made for you, you promised you will not bring it out into the rest of the United States, gets those cigars 5 years from now. Your shipment was supposed to be secret, and this is also something that is very secret. The cigar that you brought out with the multicolored green and white X on it.
Oh,
that's
Carlito.
That shipment was supposed to be secret.
We weren't on the air when I showed that cigar.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Okay. That never happened.
We weren't on the air yet. That was between me and you.
I'm under contract with the Prince of Dubai. Okay, so
don't want to mess with those people.
All right,
but going back, I mean, this is something that, listen, both of us loved our fathers. I don't think anybody could love their fathers anymore. Like many people love their fathers.
Yeah,
our fathers were everything. Were a pillar of our lives. My God, speaking about my father is difficult. But George, for the same way, and we have become. I've known Jorge. I admire him. I remember the first time they went to the IPCPR. That I saw him and Orlando come up, and they see me, and they say, "I'm Padron. I'm Orlando's son," and and so forth. And I go, oh, "Wow, man, nice to see you. Nice to meet you." Yes, we're here for the first time. I remember that day, and he said, "My dad." I said, "How's your dad? How's the family?" I hadn't seen them in years, and I knew about the boys, but really they were not active in the business that I was aware of. As far as they were not in the retail show, most of their business at that time had been in Miami, very successfully so. I mean, they controlled South Florida and the Cuban Latin market. And I remember that he said, "My dad is coming in tomorrow." I said, "Oh my God, I got to see him." I remember going to Motel Chico every night when I was in Nicaragua. All the Cubans would congregate there, the Cuban families, cigar makers, which only were a handful. So I had this huge admiration for Orlando Padron. I mean, we always, whenever we had an opportunity, the first thing we see each other out of respect, I kiss him on the cheek, kiss me on the cheek. It was somebody I looked up to and looked up to dearly, one of the greatest of greats. And we always had this mutual respect for each of our families. And I remember he told me at that moment when I met him, my dad will be here tomorrow, so I got to see him. So when his father came, they found me, looked for me, and they went, and I saw his father. His father hugged me and everything. And he says, "How are you?" We greet each other. He says, "If you need anything," I never forget this, "if you need anything at all, whatever you need, if I have it, I won't share it with anybody, but I'll share it with you or your father. And remember, I have the best of the best because I am the Leon. I am the King of Kings." And he was, you know how he was. He was that, but that's the way he shared his love. But I never forget that day. But with all respect and all the years and everything and all the mutual thing, when the CRA started, one of the first persons I called was Jorge Padron. I called Jorge. I said, "Jorge, we're starting an organization. I want to start a consumer organization." And I really thought that, it's about the people. You got to take it to the people. And the intention of CRA originally was for a few of the manufacturers who I believed had the same philosophy that I had. I called Lito Gomez, I called Robbie, I called the Newmans in the very, very beginning. And I wanted a team of people who had the same philosophy to protect the brick and mortars, protect the family business and everything, because we were facing very difficult challenges. And during that time, Jorge and I became much closer. We had meetings, we fought the same fight, the same battle, and we both, it was like the yin and the yang. I remember many times Jorge, very eloquent, would be the one, the soft-spoken, but very accurate with the information. And once in a while, he kicked me under the table. We always sat side by side. And I knew that was my time to hit the table and get up and get emotional and everything. And
it's time to turn it on.
Yeah, exactly. So but anyway, we became very, very close. We used to have meetings. I used to go there to his headquarters. Most of the time, the meetings were in Miami because that's where most of the people was nearby, made it easy. We always had people fly in, from Virginia, like Gary Pesh, who's been volunteer and all since the beginning. And we became closer and closer and closer. And during one of these meetings, or these last meetings about 2 years ago, Jorge, I lost my father just shortly before Jorge lost his father. And I remember the day that I heard that he had passed. I flew into Miami, and I don't do this for anybody, but I knew what his father, because if you see that famous photo that we took before his father with Jorge, my father and Orlando sitting together, and we're standing behind them. We put it up. That was in their big celebration of their 50th anniversary. And right before my father passed, my father was ill, but he went there. My father doesn't go anywhere. He was already ill. And we took that photo. That was the respect we had. So as soon as I found out that Orlando had passed, I got on a plane. I came to Miami. And and I had to get back because I had visitors. And as a matter of fact, the Cuencas were there. And they remember that I said, I'm getting on a plane. I even flew private. I have to do something. I went to see Jorge. I remember he was, normally they were there. The family were they were in the office, but they were private in their private area. And I went to the front. I said, Carlito Fuente, please tell Jorge that I'm here. I need to see him. And I know that they, at that time, they just wanted to have their privacy. They invited me in. Beba was there, his wife, and Orlando and the family. And I called them to the office. I remember speaking to him. I said, listen, I went through this. You're going to go through this, and this, and this. We don't forget this, and they don't forget it. And this is the bond that we have. But during these meetings of the CRA, one day, not long after his father had passed, that's the photo.
Look at that.
That's one of the photos, yes. And anyway, we're there, and everybody leaves. And Jorge tells me, hey, we'd like to come into my private area. There he has a little lounge. Let's have a scotch in honor of our fathers. And I never say no to a free scotch. So I remember he said, your father, because everybody knows your father was Chev's 18 and my father was Dimple, Dimple or Pinch.
Peach.
Well, they call it Peach.
Yeah, he loved his peach.
In Europe, we already discovered this. It was Dimple, and I get confused. It was Dimple, Pinch, Haig, whatever, but it's always the same. And he says, what, are we going to have a Chev's or we're going to have a Pinch? And I said, no, let's have a Pinch. I'm in your office now. So we had a drink. We're talking about our fathers and everything. And I don't know who brought it up, him or something, about, we talked about heritage, being grateful. It's all about being grateful and who we are, where we come from. We both admit that our dreams are to follow our father's footsteps. It's impossible to fill their shoes. And we have, and our dream both is to continue their legacy and never forget their story, for it to live, to be a beating heart, a burning flame that never extinguishes. And somehow the idea is we should honor our fathers. And the idea came up that I would make a cigar that the best cigar I personally can make, not thinking about the consumer, not thinking about Jorge Padron, not thinking myself, what cigar would I make that I would offer to the old man? And we say old man in viejo, it's a Cuban way of showing affection for somebody you respect. What cigar would I offer to Orlando Padron, Jose Orlando Padron, and that he would be happy with and be proud that I made that cigar for him, and vice versa. What cigar will Jorge make for my father? And I said jokingly, but knowing how these old men are in Orlando Padron, you know, he was so proud of his brand. I mean, he lived, breathed, and, you know, everything was Padron to him. It was his life. I just hope that one day in my dream, he walks up to me or we see each other and he goes, "Oye, Carlito, cigar wasn't bad. You can smoke it." I know that I made the right cigar. That's all I expect from him, you know. But this is how this whole idea started evolving, and then the pandemic came and it was kind of put on hold. We have been working this for a while. And as a matter of fact, I'm smoking one now. But after he was interviewed on Meet the Professor, and I heard, I mean, we're talking. He called me after. He goes, "Hey, bro, I'm scared shit. You know what? People are gonna expect the unexpected. You know."
Well,
but
I think that's the beauty of this project, right? Because these are two historic families that don't need to really do special projects. So this is not anything other than a pure emotional movement to pay tribute to the men they love and who helped mold them. So, I think that's what the real beauty of this project is. And I think, and like I said, as the consumers, everybody's, we already started getting messages. When are you getting it? When are you getting it? I don't know nothing about it. You know what I mean? Other than it's being released. And, I had a very busy week, so I haven't been able to read the press releases yet. But have you guys finalized this format? Is it going to be two different cigars, or is it going to be two different cigars? I mean, is it going to be two different packagings and distributions, or is it going to be one box containing both the cigars? Has that been resolved yet?
It has, but you know what?
It's still a secret.
Jorge Padron is a lot younger and a lot stronger than me, you know. And there's certain things that we want to leave it up to anticipation and everything. But believe me, we're putting everything into this. It will be two cigars or one cigar each, made the same exact size, and they will have one new band. It'll be a complete new product. The band will be a fusion between Padron and Fuente.
Wow.
That's part of the surprise. And Jorge, forgive me if you're watching, please take a deep breath and, go play with your kids or do whatever you do, You
can blame it on me, Carlito.
But yeah, I think he's just afraid. He said the other day on the show, I'm afraid of him too. So hey, listen, it's all in fun and humor. That's the Cuban thing. You got to have you got to shoot the shit, man. You got to shoot the shit.
Absolutely.
But no, it's true. But it's going to be in one package, and it's going to be a large package. It's something that people will be able to keep and pass down to their children.
Oh wow!
It's something that's so cool. It's collectible. It involves a lot of different things. It's more than a story. It's multiple stories, and you're gonna it's gonna be stories within a story.
It's going to be
it's like a huge book. Each chapter tells a story.
Oh, that's great.
But the story is not about an individual. The story is together about two families. Those two cigars will be together no matter what, and they will be in a something very large, very special that you will keep for generations. We've been working on this for a while. The ideas, there's a lot that goes with it more than the cigar. It's a complete package.
I'm assuming this is something that's going to hit the streets sometime next year.
Well, it all depends. Obviously, something like this, it's not something that Alan could go far could walk in with a catalog and show you. It all depends when the PCA is going to be able to start again. I mean, that's our hope, to introduce in the PCA.
Okay.
We need some big venue where everybody gathers, where all the key people gather and so forth, where we could showcase this product and make it available to the brick and mortars, to the people who pour their hearts and soul, their life, their time into our community, to our world of cigars. And that is both of our missions and both of our goals.
Well, I mean, you're going to keep the world on suspense. So everybody's waiting to see this really epically and historic project for our industry. But speaking of projects, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the pink.
Yeah.
Right? There was another announcement this week about the rare pink cigars, which is another PCA. I believe it's a PCA cigar, and it also is contributing to the Cancer Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about that cigar? Maybe a little bit more than your collaboration with the Padron family. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more on this one here.
Well, I'm going to try, but I'm a man of many secrets. When you have little knowledge, it's best to have a lot of secrets. But this
a lot safer.
It is a lot safer, and
right?
I have to try to be safe. But anyway, this is something that I've been working on for quite a while. The cigars were made last year. They were going to be introduced this year, and it's something that I worked on very quietly, personally. I worked on, and I've kept it away. No one has seen this box or this package or this label, because I even worked it without any graphic designer or anyone that's ever worked with me. I did this all internally in Santiago because it wanted to be a surprise for Liana. And there's a lot of elements to this that she will see when she receives the cigars, and she's curious or not to open it up before it goes out to distribution. Because of course we ship all our cigars into our Tampa headquarters. From there it's distributed to all our accounts. But this is something very, very special. The label itself was created in-house. It's printed right in Santiago. It's all done in-house. We have our own box company. Everything is being done. It's totally unique. These are cigars that have been made for over a year already that we're going to be introduced at the PCA this year. I promise to have something special for the people that support the brick and mortar, the PCA. And this is going to be one of the cigars. But that I'm very passionate and committed to the old world, the old school tradition, to honor the past and be grateful, never forget. And one of the things that today, I look back with time that I feel very proud of is that I personally reintroduce all the Figurados into the market. It was something that was lost before the Hemingway. There were no Figurados. Maybe there was an old Cuban in Miami who made a pyramid with a paper or someone in some place, but it was not commercially sold. It was something of the 40s, 30s, 40s, maybe the early 50s, and it was something that was just no longer available. Nobody wanted Figurados. And we brought back my grandfather's shape, which was originally called the Fancy Tales, the Through the Funny Fancy Tales, and we introduced it under the brand Hemingway. And from there, we grew. You got all the different extensions, a short story, and so forth. And from there, I know the first cigar in the history with two wrappers. Today, you see all these different artistic cigars. Originated with the Between the Lines. And I'm very passionate with Figurados. So this is a line of cigars that are Figurados. And one of the cigars that we're making, but since they only can make so few a day, 25 a day, is a Figurado Lancero, which is incredible. And we have a new size also that's called a Happy Ending. Every story needs a happy ending.
Yeah.
If not, you're not going to go back to buy the next volume. So it's one of the new sizes, new shapes is Happy Ending with so forth. And we're going to have a Lancero, but the Lancero is going to come out after the year because we make so few a day. So there's not enough to go around. So we'll just keep accumulating. There's several cigars that will be coming out after the year, but we'll come out with 4 shapes. And I'm going to be totally honest so you understand. One of the cigars that I hear from real aficionado, connoisseur, people that know cigars and tobacco, they tell me, man, I smoked this cigar and it's the best blend in your portfolio. This cigar is amazing. And it's a cigar that doesn't sell that much. People don't know about it that much, but the cigar is Casa Cuba. Now, if you know the history of Casa Cuba, it's a brand that we acquired from Modesto Maceda family, Cubans, in the early 60s. He was very close to my grandfather and really looked at my father as a young man, as somebody who worked so hard. And he was already up in his late 80s, and he's retiring. He had this brand, Casa Cuba, a small little brand, beautiful Cuban brand. And he said, Carlito, I want to leave this brand for you, but I have to sell it. I don't know how much money you have. Pay me whatever you could afford to pay me. and we acquired the Casa Cuba brand. We keep it alive. We send a few cigars, this and that, but it's not under the Casa Cuba. It wasn't under Casa Cuba until one day I come to the factory, and I was traveling to Dubai. I was traveling to World Cup with Russia. I was trying to build the brand outside the United States, and I didn't do this for out of ego or selfishness. I was doing this because I realized 8 years ago, that if this FDA regulation was applied, I'm going to lose 30% of our business in the United States. And when you have 3,000 people and you have a foundation called Cigar Family Charitable Foundation that thousands of people depend on, and you have this organization in Tampa, Salesforce, you realize that you cannot keep this organization and people employed with 30% less of your business. You're going to have to tear everything down and start from scratch again. And a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. I realized that I had a responsibility to find a solution. And my only hopes were to start building some safety net outside the United States. So I was traveling a lot, and I was in the factory, and I come one day to the factory, and the person that was in charge back then, who now is in Tampa, Lucy Hernandez, I see a box that's going to be shipped to Tampa so they could see it and everything. And I look at it and I said, Lucy, what is this? She goes, oh, that's something your Rich and your father have that's going to be shipped to Tampa. And I look at it and it had the old Casa Cuba label, the old original, not this one, the original one, not that one, but before that. And it was so simple. The label's beautiful, but the box was so simple. I said, Lucy, this is crazy. This can't go out. Stop it right now. And I called my father and I said, what the hell's going on? We can't do this. I'm stopping this. I said, Dad, you can't do this, Dad. I do not. Always my intention was not to bring out Casa Cuba made in the Dominican Republic. It was my intention because I really believe that I'm very grateful to the Dominican Republic, and I had to promote the Dominican Republic. And I'm very, very conscious about exploiting the name Cuba. You see, we don't use Cuban seed on our boxes, or we don't. Even though it's our heritage, I'm very proud of it, and it's all the lessons of my life and all my mentors and everything. I don't want a brand with the word Cuba made of the Dominican Republic. I've seen that happen historically, and I don't believe in exploiting It's not a Cuban cigar if it's not made in Cuba. It's not Cuban tobacco if it's not grown in Cuba. I really believe in that. Right. So, but my father was already in his last years, and he said, son, and I was starting, Rich said, man, your father, your father is, he's getting older and everything. And this is his wish, his dream. So I said, okay, I'm going to repackage it. So I put together really quick, put into a wooden box, did a few things. I'm not happy with it. I'm going to repackage the whole thing now in honor of my father. I'm going to come out with a big bang. But that's how the whole thing started. And in his last year, his last days from his hospital bed, when he was in Sloan Kettering in New York, I'm talking about 3-4 days before he passed, he calls the office up and he tells his assistant, I want you to make a blend for me. Go get of this lot of tobacco, because every day he was looking at his inventory, he was looking at his numbers, how much was sold. Every day he had information sent to him on his computer, even from his bed, and he was passing. And he says, get half a leaf of this, get a leaf of this, do this, this binder, go this, get from this lot, do this, and make this cigar in this shape. My father passed. He never saw that cigar. That cigar, after he passed, made the cigar, and we named it the Divine Inspiration. So, the pinks, people told me, wow, what a blend. Casa Cuba is different. It's this. Because that was my father's. I remember my father was his gravelly voice already, tired. I said, Dad, what are you doing, Dad? This and that. He goes, oh, yeah, let me tell you something. It reminds me like the way you spoke about, oh, yeah, El Gordo de Palm Beach. Right. Yeah, it's the way it's just an affectionate way. Oh, yeah, let me tell you something. Everything, I'm very proud of you. You've done a lot of credible things, and you know what? You changed the cigar industry. You brought the cigar industry in many ways where it's at today. But don't forget who taught you. And I'm still the best blender. That blend is the way my father taught me to make the blend. Not the shit you guys make that is so damn strong. You can't. I want you. So those things are in my mind. So the cigar, the rare pinks are based on the on the base, or the foundation of what Casa Cuba is. But then, of course, I had to add Carlito's little ingredients, or little, Carlito's way. And so I just tweaked it a little bit. I did the things that I thought, and I think the cigar is going to be incredible. And it's a cigar, it's pink, and it's all completely repackaged, but it's a cigar. It's a cigar for human beings that they're going to be able to enjoy. It has nothing to do with gender. Now, the cigar that I'm going to enjoy, it's a cigar that I'm very proud of. It's a very rich and flavorful cigar, and the shapes and everything. So basically, that's where the thing started. And what's really special about the cigar, Felix Mesa, who is very, very close to me, who's our main man partner in Nicaragua, he's the one. Felix Mesa travels to Cuba a lot. He's, his family's generational they're really what we call affectionately guajiros. They're Cuban farmers. They're grown and raised. Their grandmother, everyone grew tobacco. They were born, they played in tobacco fields. He has brought me different seeds over the years to help me with my yields in Chateau de la Fuente, to experiment in Dominican Republic with certain seeds that he acquires, that he does from Cuba. And one of those seeds, I've been working with Janito Oliva and everything to see this one particular seed, which is a Havana Cuban seed. But there's a lot of varieties of Cuban seed, as we all know. There's a lot of different varieties, just like there's different genetics, different seeds of oranges, or different seeds of different fruits. They all give you a different, one's a little bit more acidy, one's a little bit more sweeter, one's a little bit, the texture is different. It gives you a different result. And this one particular seed, Janito grew several seeds for us of the ones that we saw in Dominican Republic that we could pull wrappers from. And this one particular seed gave the best results. And Janito, after 3 years working with a seed, picking the seeds and everything from this, he grew a crop for us. And this tobacco was grown the year before last. We've got the best leaves. It's constantly being improved. So that's the leaf that these cigars will be on. And it really, it works very well with this blend. And it's something that I believe every time we do something, we can't just change a band or something or make it different. I really believe that, everything happens with time. Sometimes we don't come out with a new product, but this is something that is different, it's new. There's no question when you smoke it, it's Fuente, because anything comes out of our kitchen is Fuente. It's Fuente when you smoke it. It's not going to be something that's going to be completely different, but it's based on the Casa Cuba blend, retweaked, and with Havana seed wrapper from a different seed. So
now this is going to be a PCA release as well.
That's for PCA, yes. That's for PCA.
And from what I read somewhere, there's only going to be 500 made of each size.
No. There's more. We're going to have. We're going to ship a minimum of 500 boxes. It's just that we want to make sure that that is being shipped, and we're going to ship maybe 800 boxes, 1,000 boxes, or so forth. But we don't know how much we'll be able to pack. Cigars have been made for a year. We're packing them already. And we promise that we're going to ship the first shipments will be on November the 18th. And the reason that I picked November the 18th, because that is exactly 25 years ago when I shipped the first Fuente Open Sex to the United States market.
Wow.
That's my grandfather's birthday. So, I got to try to find all the gods and all the angels in the sky to help us in any way for this project to be successful. But that's only one of two projects. That's one. The other one I'm not going to talk about. Jeez. But I also have a surprise. For the brick and mortar that will be shipped in December.
We'll have you on when you're ready to talk about that.
Yeah, double whammy. No, you'll know about it. My phone will ring. My phone will be. This one I'm not going to talk about. And there's no Charlie.
We are teaser free. Okay,
nobody. This is going to be like it used to be the old days. You get a cigar. You get cigars sent to you, and you're going to get an invoice, and you go, "What the hell is this? What is Fuente doing?"
Yeah.
I have a question for Carlito.
Who's having a heart attack during the show right now?
He's like, these rumors
and teasers. You're
going to be very happy, and you're going to say to yourself, man, what a difficult year has this been, but we're going to end this year with a big bang, with a lot of love and everything. That's my intention. I have no more intention than that. It's to really give support to the people who have sacrificed so much and given so much to our family, and that have gone through hell and back during this year, as we all have, and to bring some joy at the end of the year. that just that Christmas Eve for everybody to be there waiting for open up their toys.
Paul, you had a question.
Yeah, Carlito, I think maybe there's a little bit of confusion. Do you live in the DR now, or do you live in the US, or do you like spend your time back and forth?
I've lived in the DR since 1980, 40 years here.
Wow.
I lived in
so you're there full time.
Yeah. And when I wasn't in DR, most of my other time was 37,000 feet in the air. And for a long time, Alan could testify to this. Most of the times I traveled, in the last years, I stopped traveling or visiting smoke shops and so forth. The last 8 years or so forth, my daughter was doing more of that, and we have a great team of representatives and sales managers. I stopped traveling, and every time I traveled, because it was getting out of hand for my health and everything, I still traveled every week. I got over 4.5 million miles sitting on American Airlines alone, and that's painful. I already had leg surgery, vascular surgery from having blood clots, and things are very dangerous. My body's paid the price. So I travel. Yes, I was traveling in the United States when it was associated with charity. The only time there were cigar events, obviously, but it was a cigar event for charity, whether it's Dan Marino for autism, whether it's for St. Jude's Children's Hospital, Cigar Family. It was always events associated with charity, because, it was just impossible for me to be on the road and still be in the Dominican Republic and do all these things. So that's the reason that people don't see me as much as they used to, because for those reasons, which is logical. But there's nothing that I love more than walking in a smoke shop, meeting people, hugging people, sharing cigar stories and everything. And I think that's one of the reasons why I become so emotionally attached to all this virtual media. I'm not a digital guy, but this is the second best thing to actually be able to hug people, is seeing people talk about cigars. And I try to watch as many. I don't even watch movies anymore. I try to get on everybody's show. Cooper, when he, all of them, all these shows. And I watch people like Eric Espinosa Jr., on the show, and see these young generation. I say, man, this guy's like really cool. He's a chip off the old block, and you watch all these shows and people, and I learn so much, and it really it energizes me to see there's so much passion in our industry. I want to go back to one quick thing before you put me back on the hot seat. I just want to say, on behalf of my daughter, on behalf of my family, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's very important to me for the world to witness what the cigar community is all about. We've gone through hell the last 10 years of the government trying to destroy us and eliminate us. And it's very, very important to me that people see that, we're about people, we're about life, we're about giving, and we really have feelings, we have families, and we are part of a community. We're part of the American dream, and we have the right to fight for our constitutional rights as Americans, as living in the greatest country in the world. Forget about all the other countries or what they've done or how they apply the laws. This is the United States of America. And I think that this is an example how you could really make a difference in someone's life, maybe save their life or extend their life, or prevent an illness by awareness, by education, by coming together and providing the funds necessary. And this was done, $1 at a time, one cigar lover at a time. This is an accumulation of people with big hearts that come together for a great cause. And I thank the entire community of cigar lovers for all their contribution in behalf of this charity or any other charity. This is what we're all about. And God bless you all. Thank you. I had to say this. It's very important to me. Very important to say thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. We had a lot of news, a lot of emotions. What one heck of a show. Now, on a final note, because they're probably a fan, so I want to bring it up just in case anybody knows. But you and the Newmans are involved every year in the Tampa Cigar Festival that is organized out there, and that got postponed until March. I just heard. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, Abe. That's correct.
So yeah, they're pushing that event hopefully back till March, when things will hopefully be much safer and things can be done and people can come out and enjoy themselves in their normal fashion.
Yeah, it's a beautiful event. You know, I remember last year. I mean, I grew up, walked those streets with my grandfather. Remember what that community once was, and see it vacated the way it was for so many years, and to see it coming back. And now I remember last year when I arrived, it was in the afternoon already. It was late, started earlier. Couldn't find a parking space. I'd never seen that in my life. And to see so many beautiful people I went to high school with and things, and to see people travel from all over the country, it's really become a festival. And I was so proud of my community and the support for Ybor City, which was known as the cigar capital of the world. To see the way it's coming, to see us grow. I just stayed when I went to Tampa for a board meeting that I mentioned in the beginning of the show. I stayed in a new hotel called Hotel Haya. And Sanchez and Haya was factory number 2, because Ybor Martinez was able to get the permit before, but they were both pioneers of Tampa, and they named it after him. As a matter of fact, their bar lounge is called Florfina. They named it after cigars, and you see the bricks, and it's such a beautiful boutique hotel. It's right on 7th Avenue, which was called Broadway before, right in the strip. It reminds me of Royal Sonesta in New Orleans. You know, you look out, you get the balcony, you see all the rows of balconies, 2:00 in the morning, people walking up in the streets, even though there's a pandemic, full of young people, full of life. That's the Ybor City I remember. And I'm so proud of that. And it's very, very sad, but it's also it was very responsible of them to postpone this. I don't think that we should take a risk, but it's very sad that it had to be postponed, and it was a wise decision by the organizers to postpone this.
In fact, even cooler, your daughter Liana just typed that the festival's now scheduled to be on March 7th, and the 6th is her birthday. So
March the 6th is her birthday.
Party. Yeah.
March the 6th is my daughter's birthday.
Yeah.
She was born in 1980, and that's the year we went to Dominican Republic. So imagine.
So
but wait, there's another queen that's celebrating tomorrow. Cynthia Fuente. Cynthia Fuente is her birthday. But I'm not going to give her birth date because
I have a little fact I've really seldom talked about. Cynthia Fuente was the first cigar manufacturer celebrity I ever met at my first cigar function ever in Chicago. Just when I was starting to get into cigars, it was some event that her and Joey Pantalone, and anybody can remember him as an actor.
Pantoliano, yes, Joey.
Pantoliano and
Joey Pants.
Joey Pants and Stephen Fisher, another actor who had some shows at the time. They were both at that event, and that was the first time I met Cynthia.
It may have been when they were filming Baby's Day Out that Joe Mantegna was there also.
This was going back to, I moved here in 98, so this is probably 1996, 96.
It probably was. Unless Joe Pants was collecting some money that was owed to him. He might have been in Chicago because he is from the same town, from Hoboken. So you never know. You know, he probably was collecting some old dues.
Now, I got one more question I want to ask or talk about before we get. I do have Melanie did get a hold of my man, the pirate here. I have some concocted winner list. I assume no responsibility for reading this in case any of it's incorrect, but we will read some of the winners for those who are awesome enough to contribute this week to Liana's Fun. But any of our listeners doesn't know, and this is now my turn to be honored, and I'm very excited. I'm going to be your guest tomorrow.
That's correct.
On your show, Fuente and Maripel, the Professor Show. And I mean, there it is right there. Fuente and Maripel present. So I'm the guest of honor tomorrow at your show, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm excited for that. But that just the concept of the show alone is pretty much an amazing concept. And, you know, I think one of the, you know, not that really anything good was good about the pandemic, but some good things did come out of it. And stuff like this, where people now have become more social via electronics, where, you know, you having a show was something I would have never thought of. How did that show formulate real quick?
No, actually, I didn't even own a computer. No, seriously. See, I had my telephone. Actually, Karen Smith, my right hand in Tampa, actually, she sent me down a little laptop, and so she could communicate with me, because everybody always, where's Carlito? Where is Carlito? Carlito doesn't pick up his phone. Where is Carlito? Nobody knows who Carlito's at. And so she sent me down a laptop, so I couldn't avoid her anymore when they had to. So she set me up with Teams and so forth, and this all this, which now I'm really getting into it, and I'm trying little by little to see what I could do to improve. I figured out how to get the lighting. I got all these candles, a rosy look. I'm doing it the Ybor City way. We do it in the street, but. But anyway, Jeremiah Marifel, he's locked down. He can't leave. And he's a lot younger than me. He tells me, we should do some virtual show or something. And this was when the pandemic first started.
Yeah.
And I said,
he's in Brussels, right?
Yeah,
He's not in.
Well, he's in Israel. He's in Israel now. But yes, he's based.
Okay.
He was in Brussels when we started. Now he's been in Israel for a while.
Okay.
But anyway, he says, I said, man, you know what? We just brought Jose Blanco on our team, which is an amazing man with with a world of knowledge, information. And Jose does the shit that I don't know how to do. I don't even talk with tastings and pairing. To me, it's a cigar. You like it, it's a cigar. People ask you, what's it made with? I tell them it's made with tobacco, It's old school. But so I said, man, this is a perfect time, because Jose's locked down. He can't travel. And maybe this whole thing started this way, started like this, and little by little. And the idea, I said, wait a minute, I said, we cannot promote cigars. This is not about cigars. We need to bring in families, people who have our philosophy, and talk and document these stories, because I believe that if history is not documented, it would be forgotten forever. And there's so many dons that come into this business, and I'm not criticizing anyone. And you see and my father always said, I made 30 years ago, 40. I said, Dad, look at this article. This cigar got this high review. He said, Carlito, don't look at what the paper, don't read that. Go see what you could do to make your cigars better. Right now, there's problems on the cigar floor. And if you're spending your time reading about somebody else, you're losing an opportunity to fix something that you're doing wrong. And he told me these words I never forget. He says, this is like another Jose Orlando Padron analogy. He says, paper holds all the shit you put on it. That's what paper was made for. So don't forget about that. So anyway, I said, and it frustrates me I think it frustrates a lot of people who have gone through all these turmoils and sacrifices in life, to see, so much stuff, everybody was been 150, 200 years in the business. They bring all the seeds from this. Everybody's a Don. Everybody's this. And, 10 years ago, you didn't even know who some of these characters were. But Jeremiah and I speak, we got to bring the people who are really contributed a part of this, because we have to document history, and we record it, and someday our grandchildren or somebody will hear these people's voices. Unfortunately, my grandfather passed away in 1973. There was all the equipment and technology. I can't hear his voice because he was never recorded.
Right.
And that breaks my heart. I know that we have the recording of my father's voice and everything, I said, and just like shows, for example, Benjamin Menendez, I said, he's just to hear his voice and hear his stories. And everybody has been on, and it's not about promoting cigars. It's about sharing our values, sharing our life stories. It's almost by learning by the Michael Jordans of the industry, all of them. And this has been our goal so forth. We bring manufacturers, we bring in people who consumers might see them as competitors to us, but they're colleagues, they're part of our community. And it's such a warm feeling because we all know each other. And there's so many more that will follow. We have a list of many, many people. I think we've had about 80 something shows already, and there's just much, much more to follow. And Abe, you're going to be on the show next.
Yeah.
I just described, your position in our industry.
Well, I tell you what, if you haven't got enough of me and you today, we'll definitely have more of us tomorrow. But I mean, look, it's one of those things that you talked about values, and I got to tell you something, because the mind is a funny thing. Because I got in this industry, and another dear friend of ours, we've lost a lot of people over the decades. But Sal Fontana was the guy who personally introduced me to you, and a lot of other guys when I first got in this business. So I just remember being the young buck, the new guy. Oh, who's that guy? We heard of him. Isn't he down in Florida? And always trying to pay homage and respect to everything that Sal taught me about the industry and how it goes on. And now I sit here and like I'm the old guy now, right? And I'm that older generation now, but I see the new guys come in, and it's just sometimes I don't see the same. Guys are selling stuff out of their garages. They're all about making the sale, and sometimes it really breaks my heart, because I hope not to lose this community and understanding that you talked about and values. But I see a lot more of this new generation of younger guys who are just getting this industry, and they're all about how can we make a buck. They're starting subscription services, and they've never been in the industry. They're shipping stuff out of their garage. They're making up stories of brands. And I just hope we don't lose that, because honestly, I think that's one of the most beautiful things about our industry. The fact of how we can be competitors, and time again, and you just told many stories today, how you talked about how even as competitors, we come to each other's aid in time of need, and we work together, because the people who really understand what it's about realize that in the end, we either all grow together on some level or we don't. And that's and that's what I've been taught, over the last quarter of a century.
It's so true. So true.
I mean, there's healthy competition. I have a lot of healthy competition with people who are dear friends of mine, and then there's just this respect that this industry has for one another, and I love it. I hope we can keep it going for a few more generations to come in our industry.
You mentioned a very powerful word, which I believe in strongly: respect. Respect where we come from. Respect, be humble. Respect our humble beginnings. Respect all the sacrifice of all our colleagues, their families. But Abe, I have faith. I have faith in the youth. Maybe some of these people that you mentioned that we know are working out of their garage, and they're young. They don't know. They're just, for whatever reason, they could evolve. I was the young kid that nobody knew in the industry at one time. I was the youngest. I was the only one of my generation. There was no one in the industry. It was like people said it was like the hat business. Nobody's going to wear hats anymore. And now you see how many people are wearing hats when you go to a Big Smoke or an event or one of your events. And there was no future. The writing was on the wall. Yet people evolve, people change, and I have faith in the youth. And I tell you, we don't have a future if we don't have young blood coming into this industry, young creative people, people who are, and sometimes it's good not to have knowledge and to be different, because you bring a new perspective to the way we see things, and we learn from each other. So I think that, I remember that, growing up, I grew up listening to D. Martin, Frank Sinatra, Mexican Jorge Negrete, and all these different things, and Ella Fitzgerald. That was the music I heard in my home. Perry Como, Andy Williams. And I remember the shock of, the Led Zeppelins and the Janis Joplins and everything. And I kind of, during that era, I was with my 8-tracks listening to the Four Tops, to the originals, to Temptation. I was in a drive-in, fogging up the windows. I was not, Led Zeppelin. But now at 60-something years old, now I'm listening to Led Zeppelin. I'm listening to, Pink Floyd, all these things. So sometimes revolution is good. I have faith in the young people. I believe it's necessary. And we need young entrepreneurs. We need people that have the opportunity to live that American dream that you and I and all of us have lived and everything. But without opportunity, it's impossible. And I'm just so grateful that we have been able to achieve what many people thought was impossible, was to be able to get a judgment from a judge, and be able to I don't call it a victory, but is to stay with the FDA right now, have some breathing room, so that it gives an opportunity. Forget the past, who helped, who was involved, who wasn't involved, who accomplished what, and who was the one that was trying to get this thing through to eliminate all the competition. Let's forget that, because we all know the reality of this. I think now's the time for us all to come together and to protect and save our industry, to save the brick and mortar, the mom and pops, who are the fiber of the back and the backbone of the greatest country in the world. The mom and pops, the one that don't arrive at 8 a.m. and leave at 4 p.m. and have to punch in and punch out, but stay into whatever time it is, cleaning up and fixing whatever has to be fixed. The ones that work around the clock and sometimes don't even get a salary because they're struggling, but they got to keep their business going. Those are the ones that I believe in.
Yeah, from your lips to God's ears, that's the best hope. And you talked about the judgment, and I've been saying all along. I said, look, that win wasn't a victory, but what it is it's a beacon of hope, right? I mean, it's like it's possible to win, right? I mean, it was it's possible, but you're right. What this industry's got to do now is it's time to have the full court press, right? It's to keep pushing, and hopefully we end up somewhere with our government that is a realm in which we all could exist and still flourish and not be smothered to death by our own government. So that's where we stand on that. All right. Well, that being said, let's read off these winners of these giveaways for all those who made a donation this week.
First of all, would you say what are the prizes?
I don't know what the prizes are, so I'm going to read it the way she numbered them. Okay. I think she had them listed on her page, unless you know what they were. But we just got involved in the first prize, and then it just grew like a monster, and all these other manufacturers started getting involved. So I'm reading the list the way she sent it to us. So I got 6 winners. So I'm going to start at the bottom of the list and work our way up to the top. All right. This one just says the Rocky Patel sampler prize goes to Cigar Man Andy. Congratulations.
Okay, good. Congratulations, Andy. Great.
Prize number 5, which if you go to Melanie Cisco's Facebook page, I believe she has a list of what each prize is.
It is there. It is there. I see.
Prize number 5 goes to Joshua Ulam. Congratulations, Joshua. Prize number 4 goes to Ulas Dekaya. Congratulations. Ulas, do you know Ulas? Ulas won.
Hey, Arturo Fuente coffee man.
Right. Ulas won. So there we go. Prize number 3 goes to Sherman Green. Congratulations, Sherman.
Congratulations.
Prize number 2 goes to somebody we all know very well here on KMA, personal friends of ours, the man himself in Kentucky, the Ash King, Mr. Randy Bush.
Wow.
Hey, and I think I remember prize number 2, but don't hold me to it. But there was a very special person who donated like a whole rare collection that he had of Fuente cigars.
If it's Steven Spector's, rare cigars.
Yes,
that go back. Yes, original estate.
If her listing is correct, it's an Opus X sampler worth $2,000.
Yeah, that's it. So Randy Bush, that's what you just won. Congratulations,
buddy.
And now
there's a guy that will really appreciate that too, man.
I'm going to read the name of the guy who not only won these 2 epic boxes, but honestly, the most priceless prize of this whole contest. All right. A real official have been worn and been signed hat of one of the most legendary guys in our industry, Carlito Fuente Jr. That to me is I have a little museum shelving up here that I've collected. I'll try to tilt it of all the stuff over the years.
Nice.
Really cool stuff. There's a little Carlito bobblehead up there, and all these cool things that I think historically will bring back memories when I'm too old to remember them, I guess. So
this is prize pack number 1 with the hat.
Yes, your hat is one of those items. So the winner is Dimitri Peros.
Wow, great man, great supporter.
Congratulations, Dimitri Peros. That is the pack you won. That hat was signed by Carlito himself. And we'll get your information. Val, our producer, will reach out to you, or Melanie will get your shipping information to the cigars. And Melanie actually has in her possession Carlito's hat that she will get to you. And treasure it. It's going to be great. Good stuff. So Carlito, look.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so a lot of winners. So there's a lot of good news today. Thank you for
Carlito. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, brothers. Thank you, all of you. And remember, real men wear pink, huh? Real men wear pink.
Real men wear pink. So look, Carlito, listen, I know you're a super busy guy. So honestly, I really do deeply appreciate the time when you take time out of your life like this to come share with us your family and stories and amazing things. So what a great couple of hours it's been. Really
It's
awesome.
really an honor.
Yeah, really been an honor.
Thank you, Paul.
I'd like to say I'll see you hopefully in February, but I'm going to see you tomorrow. So we're going to switch chairs tomorrow, and you can ask me all the pressing questions tomorrow.
Well, I wish you the best, Abe. I wish you survived. I got through this one. I wish you luck tomorrow. You're gonna don't forget, it's not me going to interview. It's going to be the professor.
The professor.
Jose Blanco.
Right.
Great. Well, we'll all have a great time together. It's a great show, and it's all about sharing life.
Yes, and mad props to my dear friend here, Alan Goldfarb, a.k.a. the Pirate, who helped navigate today's show, and, of course, major representation in pink. Next week, we got another amazing cigar industry great. We have Ernesto Perez Carrillo next week, so that should be a good show within itself as well.
If you give me 1 second, I have one more thing I want to just add. This is something new. Yeah, something new. Okay, my brother Alan Goldfarb, who I love dearly, and we have such a strong relationship together. Why he's nicknamed the Pirate? People don't know this, but he was a rock and roller. He was in a band. He's got a big career in music and so forth.
Huge.
And his best friend growing up, played with him in the band and the music and everything. It's no other than my hero, Jack Sparrow.
Yes, sir.
Johnny Depp is his best friend, and that's why I nicknamed him. And those are things we don't talk about. We shouldn't talk about and everything live because we keep Mr. Depp's life private. But that is Alan's dear best friend is the pirate himself, Johnny Depp. He's my favorite character of all time. I love this guy. He gets drunk as hell. He's got all the women. He dies every time, and he wakes up hungover on the beach, and he just goes on to the next girl. I love this guy. That's the life I want to live, the life of a pirate.
Alan really has an amazing history in and out of the cigar business. You can do
that's for another show.
Yeah, you could do a show one day with Alan, just to let you know.
No, we've talked about doing that. We need to put that together, Alan.
We actually got Foghat for the Great Smoke one year, and actually he helped put that together. He's got a great rich history in the music business. So
absolutely,
very great. And to everybody else and all our fans out there, we hope you enjoyed this Saturday morning, spending the last 2 hours with our team and our special guests. We hope we started your weekend off great. Try to enjoy the rest of it and smoke some great cigars. We'll see you all next week. Keep it lit.
Keep it lit,
everyone.
Keep it lit.